Hey everyone, it's Kenji, and we're gonna make some fish fragrant pork. It's a yushang pork. It's a Sichuan dish. I'm making it non-particularly traditionally because currently I'm cooking this for my wife, and she currently is not eating soy, so I'm leaving out any kind of soy product. So typically I would make this with doubanjiang, which is a fermented broad bean and chili paste, but the one that I have has soy in it, so I'm gonna be just using fresh pickled chilies, a pickled chili paste. I'm also leaving out the soy sauce, and I'm going to use some fish sauce instead. So this dish, it's called fish fragrant pork, but you'll see there's no fish in it whatsoever. It's just called fish fragrant because that flavor profile, yushang, is typically paired with fish, but you can see it in pork, you can see it done with chicken. I've had it very commonly done with eggplant. Actually, I think I have a video doing it with eggplant. So yes, today we're doing it with pork. All right, so I've got pork loin here. This is about half a pound. I'm going to finely julienne it. So you saw I sliced it into thin slices, and now I'm going to go and cut them into thin strips. There's a number of ways you can make this dish. You know, there's a recipe in my book. I'm very, very loosely following it right now because I'm substituting a ton of ingredients. I'm also using completely different vegetables because I'm just using what I happen to have in my fridge. But really, with this dish, the flavor profile is what's important, and that flavor profile is sort of a sweet and sour made with pickled chilies, black vinegar, sugar. We're going to start by velveting our pork. So I've got my pork here, a little bit of sugar, salt, baking soda, cooking wine, Chinese cooking wine. You can use dry sherry if you want. Couple teaspoons, some cornstarch, and finally a egg white. Okay, save that yolk for something else. I'll probably feed it to the dogs. All right. I'm going to do a little bit of white pepper as well. A dash of fish sauce, let's say. Now, of course, if you want your pork even more tender, you can wash it. I can link to like some other videos I have where I'm washing meat. You can wash it and rinse it and really kind of roughly squeeze it out, and that'll get it more tender. But this velveting step will go a very long way towards getting it there. All right, so we're gonna kind of work it until it gets a little bit sticky. You want to really thoroughly and roughly marinate it here. By rough, I mean like, you know, don't be gentle with it. I don't mean approximately. Okay, finally, touch of oil. That's just sesame oil. You can use whatever oil. It's basically just to make sure that when you stir fry it, the pieces don't all stick together. Do a little bit more. Although I just realized I'm velveting this anyway, so forget what I just said. You don't even need to use oil here. All right, I'm gonna set that aside for now. This is a poblano pepper, very traditional Chinese pepper. I just happen to have this pepper in my fridge, which is why I'm using it. But you can use really any sort of mix of vegetables. I like to use, usually I like to use some kind of pepper, whether it's like a Chinese long pepper or an Anaheim. Bell pepper works fine too. And I'm doing some carrot, and then either I'll use something like celtis or bamboo shoots, although today I'm just using some celery. You want everything to be sort of the same shape, so these long strips to match the meat. Same with the celery. Cut into like 2-inch segments and then long strips like this. And do the same. This is a very, very sort of quick and easy recipe once you get the sort of, you know, once you've got the knife skills faster, once you've got the ingredients prepped, it's all real quick. Velveting, it sounds like, you know, it's like, all right, you got to par cook your meat, you got to boil some water. It sounds like it's going to take a long time, but it's actually a very fast and easy process. And it will make a huge difference as far as the texture of your meat goes. If you want that really sort of velvety, smooth texture in your meat, you velvet it. All right, carrots, same basic idea. I'm gonna, when I cut my carrots, I'm gonna cut one side flat like that, so it has a nice stable base, and then I can cut the rest of it into these planks. I didn't bother peeling. I usually don't peel my carrots. I just kind of scrub them underwater. You can do your carrots however you want. All right, and then again into strips. All right, and then we got some garlic and some ginger. Let's take the ends off the garlic. Smash, smash. Another very rough chop on this garlic. This is a nice young ginger, so it's got a very thin skin, so I'm going to leave the skin on. If you have older, more fibrous ginger, you can take the skin off. But basically I'm doing the same as with the garlic, smashing it and then giving it a very rough chop. Okay. And finally, we're going to make our sauce. So as I said, normally I would do doubanjiang, which is not actually a necessary ingredient. In fact, many recipes for this don't have any doubanjiang at all. They just rely on pickled chilies. But instead of pickled chilies, what I'm using is sambal olek from the the Rooster Company, which is essentially just a pickled chili sauce. So I'm going to do a tablespoon or two of that. We got our black vinegar, Chinkang vinegar. You can use here, a couple tablespoons of that. The closest thing I would say, if you can't find that vinegar, which is very easy to find at any Asian market, but if you can't find it, the closest thing would actually be balsamic. So about equal parts sugar and vinegar, a couple tablespoons of each. And then normally I would do a little bit of soy sauce, but I'm not today, because we are soy free right now. So I'm doing fish sauce. And some wine. Okay, and finally, the last thing we need is a little bit of a slurry. And we're ready to cook. Okay, so I've got water boiling in my wok. And we're gonna go in here with our pork. So this is the the second part of the velveting process, where we're kind of par cooking the pork and getting that starch to set on the outside. Give it a nice tender texture. It also makes the stir frying process go a lot faster. We don't have to worry about cooking the pork through, because it's essentially going to be cooked after this step. And leave it in there just until it's barely cooked through. I'm going to basically let this come up to a light simmer again, maybe 45 seconds total. All right, we're starting to bubble a little. And I think we're good. Okay, take the pork out, drain it really well, spread it out on a sheet tray so that it can air dry. This is a very sort of relaxed stir fry. This is not one of those stir fries where you require extreme heat or you're not going to be setting things on fire. You can do this on induction or electric. Really, the sauce is doing most of the heavy lifting as far as developing flavor here goes. Okay, we'll dump out the water. I'll walk a quick scrub. Well, I don't know if we lost any video or not. There was some kind of card error. That's all right. So we got our wok preheated. A little oil. Nice and piping hot, as they say. I'm going with my vegetables. We're just looking for kind of tender crisp here. That is good. We'll put these right in the same tray as our pork. Reheat our wok one last time. Okay, smoking hot. A little more oil in. Aromatics in. Sauce in. And all our other ingredients right back in. You can see the color's a little light. That's because I used the fish sauce instead of soy sauce. I would normally use a mixture of light and dark soy sauce, so you get a little bit more color on here. But we'll see how the flavor is. I think it's actually going to be quite good with fish sauce. Yeah. A little more salt. And a touch of MSG. We are done. Sweet, hot and sour. Simplified, modified, completely changed. Fish fragrant pork. Love it. All right. Well, how many you want a little piece? Here. Good boy. All right, guys, gals, non-binary pals. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.